Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Special Agent DeRoy Cruz, your life applications officer, and as well as music student. I guess I'll call myself that. Doing another video on a guitar that I've said enough about, but I don't think it gets enough review on YouTube. It is, I guess, one of the bottom line of the Schecter model guitars. Schecter. It is part of the Schecter Diamond series, but I think it is at the bottom of the chain as far as the Diamond series Schecter guitars. This here is the Schecter Tempest Custom, and I done a review on this earlier. I just want to say some more humbling ideas about this wonderful guitar. First of all, real quickly, I love the way this guitar looks. I love the way this guitar looks. When I first saw this guitar, I was looking for a guitar that was kind of like in the Les Paul family, but I didn't really like the feel of a Les Paul. I think some of the newer ones that are coming out now, I probably would like the feel of those guitars. But I saw this guitar advertised in a catalog first of all, and I forget where else I seen it advertised. It wasn't Guitar Center. I actually was shocked that when I called Guitar Center to see if they have this guitar, they had it. I was totally shocked because I didn't think they would have it. I was so sure that I would have to go online to get it, but I saw this. I think Musicians Friends were the first ones to advertise this guitar. I'm not sure. And they also advertised a whole line of Schecter guitars at that time. So I went to Musician's Friend and I picked it up. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, baby, oh yeah. And the guy, like they do, he let me sit there and plug it in and play it. Now, I will admit right away, I've never noticed anything specifically unique about its sound as compared to other guitars within the same price range that I've played. I will say this, though. I've had guitars that cost more than this guitar, and this guitar sounds better than those guitars. I had a PV that not only did it not sound as good as this guitar, but I don't know if it was the thresh rod or whatever it was, but the bass string, the 6th string, went out on me, and I couldn't keep it in tune. And I kept putting it in tune, even in the middle of, doing a gig, I kept putting it in tune. Still, it never ever sounded right again. And I've had people intonate the guitar and all like that, and they could never get it to sound right. Neither did it have a good, strong bass tone in the bass strings as a lot of even cheaper guitars do. I have a Fender Squire in that closet right there, and it has a more deeper bass tone, especially in the bass strings, the 6th, 5th, and 4th string. It has a very good bass tone. Even compared to this guitar, it has a deeper bass. That's just something I guess that Fender is known for. But other than that, I'm not really I don't make a big deal about, splitting coils or mixing one pickup with another to get a different sound. You go to YouTube, people make a big deal about being able to split the coils and being able to blend the humbuckers and you name it. I've never ever made a big deal about that in my entire life. I mean, my very first guitar had one pickup on it. It had the cleanest tone. Even this guitar does not have that perfectly smooth, clean tone that guitar had. So it's not really about the price of the guitar. It's more about, I think, going from the people who put the guitar together and were willing to put the proper components into it while they were putting it together. It's a mixture of that and how the guitar was packaged. Because, it's just like you're cooking a dish. You know what I'm saying? You cook a dish and you're tasting it while you're cooking it. But then when you get done creating the dish and, it's cooled down and everything and you cleaned up behind yourself and everything and you let all the ingredients, cool down within the, and blend in with the crust and you name it. Everything is well dissolved and blended and everything. Then you put the final taste test on it while it's nice and cool, and you find out that it could have used more sugar or more cinnamon, or you find out that the crust was, it should have been baked longer before you added the ingredients. Whatever it might be. And it's the same way with anything. Like once you get done putting the screws and bolts in these guitars, okay, and measuring everything up right and putting the bolts and the screws in and moving it from one place to another, okay, putting it in its original packing and sending it to whomever, okay, that's when the guitar is really finished. When the first person, after the finished product, plugs this bad boy in, that is the original guitar. Not when you're putting it together, but when you're done putting it together and you claim that it is done, and then someone puts, a guitar cable in there and plugs it up to a good amp, and they strum that first chord, that's when you are playing the original finished product. Now, this guitar here, the strings are somewhat kind of tight. And I've only had one lady friend of mine, even though I noticed it right away when I called Guitar Center back to let them know the strings are kind of tight. Do I need softer gauge strings or what's going on here? Because I usually am used to the 009 as the high E string. But because a friend of mine who is not only does she work on guitars and basses, but she's a musician herself, she explained to me that the tailpiece here is too far from the bridge, and that is what's making the strings a lot tighter than what they would be on your average Fender. Okay, I mean, I think the strings I have on there right now, the high E string is an 008. Okay, I think. No, you know what? No, I didn't. I went back to an 009. The last strings I had on this guitar were 008. And I didn't like the feel of those lighter gauge strings. I mean, I had the lightest, I think that's the lightest gauge you can get is 008. But when I got these strings here put on, I've only changed the strings on this guitar probably 3 or 4 times within probably over 5 years, probably going on 10 years. That shows you how much I get a chance to really practice and shows you how much I get to really play out. I probably changed the strings. The last time I changed the strings, I was playing for the church, and then I popped the string from playing too wild, and I ended up having to replace a couple strings. That's another thing about this guitar that is very unique about it, and I think it has a lot to do with the Les Paul type of tailpiece and string setup down there, as well as the headstock and the nut configuration and all like that. It's very hard to pop a string on this guitar. I mean, it really is. It's very difficult to pop a string. I probably popped the string on this guitar twice within, I guess, 10 years of having it. I probably popped the string twice. And one time it was while I was putting a string on it, and the other time was while I was practicing some new beats, actually. I was practicing some new, staccato kind of thing or something, and pop went my B string, because I was like really just experimenting with this, and I got carried away. But I'm known to pop a lot of strings when I practice, because that's how you learn. But I've not popped a lot of strings on this guitar. Like I said, within 10 years, I probably popped the string twice. 2 or 3 times. That's about it. And none of those times have ever been out while I was playing. Like when you're out and you know how the song goes and you're playing what you're supposed to be playing, none of those times when I popped the string was it while I was playing out. Thank God for that. But this guitar here also has the 2 volumes, and it has the coil tap right here. This comes out, and that coil tap, it really does do a difference to the sound. Now, one thing about coil tap, they say there's a difference between coil splitting and coil tapping, and I agree, because it doesn't split anything. When you coil tap that, it changes, I think, one of the humbuckers. I'm not sure if it's both humbuckers or one of them, but it changes it into a single coil, and which gives it a warmer. And I cross my heart, so help me God, I'm telling you the truth. It actually does give it, on this particular guitar, on this model, it actually does give it a warmer tone when you pull the coil tap in the middle of a tune, or when you or transferring from one tune to another, especially if you're playing something that's like lightly distorted, like very lightly distorted or lightly compressed, and you're playing something, and in between, like the chorus and the bridge, you pull that coil tap, you go back to the chorus, or you go back to the bridge, or you go back to the verse, because of the way that it works like a kill switch. It kind of like minimizes some of the effects that give off a lot of feedback, and it minimizes some of the distortion when you pull the coil tap. Okay, it gives the whole entire range a softer, warmer tone. And so sometimes, like I was telling you about the Fender that I have a Fender Squire. It doesn't have all that good stuff, but it has a very, very, very deep bass tone in the bass strings, the 6, 5, and 4 string. Okay, very, very deep bass, and I love it. That's why I keep it. You know, I mean, I was going to give it away to one of my grandkids, but then I said, you know what, I'm going to fix this guitar and put it in the closet. It's a keeper. I'll buy my grandkids a brand new guitar if they want to get into guitars. I also have in that closet, I have a, which I've never been able to do a review on it. I would love to do a review on it. I have a Quart, and it is a smaller guitar than this one. It's kind of like the, I think it's smaller like the, what is it, the Blues Hawk. But it has a Fender body style to it. And the setback on that guitar is that when you go up, because it has a smaller scale, I think, when you go up to the 12th fret, you feel kind of squished. You feel like your hand is like really overworking itself. Even though the frets are a nice size up there, because of the way the neck to the body is laid out, when you get up to the, past the 12th fret, you feel kind of squished. But you can still do what you got to do. It's just not as comfortable a feel as playing this and a lot of Stratocasters. Which, however, the Quart that I'm talking about is a Stratocaster. So, but it's a smaller guitar. I love the way that guitar sounds. And it has one of those bouncing tremolos on it where you can not only push forward on the tremolo bar, but you can pull back and get extra tone and extra effects with that. I've actually done a lot of practice on that guitar. Never played it out. Yes, I did. I played it out one time. One time I played it in church. Played with it in church. Just to do it because I never did it. And, it worked out great. I mainly love the fretboard, the feel of the fretboard on that guitar, on that Quart, because no other guitar that I've ever owned has that smooth feel to it. And I bought it used. I'm pretty sure that's an $800 guitar. That Quart that I have in the closet there. I'm pretty sure it's got to be up in price. But this guitar here, when it first came out, this guitar right here, this Schecter Tempest Custom. When it first came out, it was running $500 and some plus tax. I think I paid like $560 some on it, and I tell you what, I took it home. When I first took it home, I couldn't put it down, and then I got lazy with my practice schedule again, and it started sitting in the corner collecting dust. But that's one of the ways you know about more expensive guitars. And this guitar, everybody that's ever picked up this guitar of mine, this one here, and has played it, let me know that I got a good deal on this guitar for what I paid for it, because it has a very sturdy body. And even though the strings are kind of tight, because I don't know if they made a boo-boo on the bridge there in the tail, that's why the strings are kind of tight compared to all the other guitars I have. But when I told Guitar Center, when I questioned them about it, they told me that Schecter is known. That's part of the style for certain of their guitars, for the strings to be tighter that way. That's all part of the make of the guitar. It's all part of the style. And my pastor, who has very heavy hands, when he played this guitar, he did not even notice that the strings were so tight. I mean, the reason why they're tight is because the way it's configured down there, the tail to the bridge, the lighter gauge strings feel like heavier gauge strings. Like, I've played people's guitars and other people's guitars, and they have like heavy gauge strings on their guitars because they have heavy hands, and they really, really, really put their guitar through a lot of work and abuse. So they have heavy gauge strings. And this guitar feels like it has heavy gauge strings, when actually the high E string is an 009. Okay, and I think the 6th string is a, don't quote me, an 025, or I forget, but you know, you geniuses know when what the setup's going to be if the high E string is an 009. You know, now they got 008s and lower. You can get them. And I didn't like that 008. It was like, I couldn't even see the string on. I couldn't even see the string in certain lighting. So once I took those off, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back to 009. Even though, you know, the strings are still going to be tight, I'm going to go back to the 009. But I love this guitar. And one last thing I'd like to say is that, and on that note too, I love the way this guitar looks more than anything. And let me show you one of the things that really appeals to me back here on this guitar. Is this. I don't know if you can see it, but see how it's arched right there? Okay. And this has the when some people, they look at this right here and they say that this is not a neck through body. Some people will call this a neck through body, but other people say that this here represents that the body that the neck is glued into the body. It's not going through the body. So that, you know, I'm not what do you call it? What do you call the guys that build guitars? I'm not into that. I don't build guitars, so I don't really know. But I just found out a couple years ago that this is not really a neck going through the body type of guitar, but it's mainly a this here neck is actually glued into the body of the guitar, which there's a lot of very expensive guitars that are being made that way. I found out from Rob Chapman just yesterday that a lot of the newer guitars are being made this way, instead of the old-fashioned neck-through body like the Les Paul has. People don't feel they need to do that anymore. I don't know. Also, you see how it's arched here. I love that. And when you put it up against your body, because see, I'm a guy, I kind of play high up. You know, like I don't let my guitar hang down by my pelvis. I kind of play up. So the guitar is like right up under my arm. It's like right in, going into my rib cage, okay? That's where I'm most comfortable playing, like right midway, you know, like right up under my chest, right in the middle of my ribs there. And this arch right here, really, I mean, it goes straight to your ribs. As soon as you put this guitar on, it goes straight to your ribs. And as you can see, I had a guy go in here and check the intonation and everything one time. Very, easy to go in here and fix this guitar. This guitar should last me for years, and I've had it for 10 years now. I just realized that by doing this video that I've had it for like at least 10 years. And I mean, look at it. It's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. Okay? And this is my guitar, man. I mean, this is my guitar. I don't know if, like, and I'm closing. I saw a video today. One was, well, I saw 3 videos today. One was about Prince, his death, and, you know, his guitars. And one was about Steve Vai and his gym, his Ibanez gym, and how he had Ibanez make that guitar for him and all like that. And there was another one on Prince where he used to play the Telly. And the Telly is like one of his favorite guitars, was one of his favorite guitars in his collection. And, you know, these people were trying to get people to buy this Prince guitar that was designed by Prince, all kinds of new specs on a average Telly. And I've had a Telly. The Telly that I had was I believe Ibanez, actually. And what I didn't like about it was it was a little bit too twangy. I didn't like that, okay? But I've played other Tellys that are not as twangy. And so, like, you know, they say a real Telly that's properly done is twangy. It's twangy compared to a Fender Stratocaster. It's really twangy. But I'm going to tell you something. I love this guitar. And if I was to do like Prince or Steve Vai or any of these guys and have someone make a signature guitar for me, it would feature basically this setup. I think what I would do is I would have the headstock a little bit smaller, like what B.B. King did to his 335. You know, I would have the headstock kind of more square instead of these horns sticking out. I'd have the headstock a little bit smaller. Okay. I'd probably have the either tan or white stripping going around the body, the neck, instead of, what is it here? Black stripping. See, it has black stripping there. Stripping is black. Okay. And I would probably leave the gauge of the strings, you know, the tailpiece bridge configuration. I would probably pick a more like a Stratocaster type of tailpiece bridge configuration, even though these guitars here, which is another reason why people love Les Pauls, these kind of guitars here, the strings are very hard to pop, okay? You have to really be breaking the rules to pop a string because of the way they just come through the tail and go through that tailpiece down there and then come up. And there's not a whole bunch of lapping over and lapping over. It's not like 3 steps before you get to the nut. There's only 2. So, you know, and I love this here instead of the 5-way selector switch. I love the 3-way selector switch. You have 1, 2, and 3. And I love to be in the middle. The middle, you have both humbuckers coming together. And this guitar here is very good as far as the tone knobs and so forth. I'm all about bass, treble, and mid-range. I'm not really into all that, you know, 100 ways to split the coils and all that kind of stuff and see what kind of sound configurations you get, even though I would love to have my next electric guitar that I'm going to spend money on is going to be a Blues Hawk. That is something that I've always wanted. Even around the time that I got this, I've always wanted a Blues Hawk. I'm going to get one. But when it comes to acoustic, I play the ukulele. Forgive me. I'm not really an acoustic guitar fan, but I love to play the ukulele. And I have the whole ukulele family. Here's my baritone. Okay. So, that's that. But I'm not really into all the you know, hype and jipe of guitars. But this guitar here, I know that I really do believe that people are right. I did get a good deal on it because I've had other guitars where the cost around the same price and even more. Even that PV I had, I was still able to gouge into the fretboard from extensive playing. The body just tarnish out of nowhere and looks like it needs to be repainted, especially if you play enough. This body here has a maple cap, they call that, on it. Like, I just found that out. I thought it was all one piece of wood, but they say that right here, this right here, where this black, and you can feel like a little wee bit of a groove in there. Okay? This here, they say this is a maple cap. So it's actually protecting the front of the guitar. All this is protecting the front of the guitar. They call that a maple cap. And so you have that on top of the wood, and then you plug the electronics going straight through the cap into the wood. That's what I heard. Somebody else was doing a Schecter review, and they were comparing Schecter to a lot of other guitars that are made, like this guitar here, even though it's 10 years old, like I said, a lot of guitars today that cost a lot more money are being made like this guitar. And this was like one of the first editions of the new world of, guitar creating and making it easy for the, I forget what you call people who build guitars. I heard that word 3 times yesterday. I can't believe I can't get it. It's not a linguist. A linguist is a person who speaks several different languages, right? I forget what they call it. A Luther. That's what it is. I knew it started with an L. A Luther. Yeah. I'm not a Luther. But a Luthers talk about the features on this guitar on the new guitars. I mean, this was one of the first guitars, to go into that new society of guitars. So, in closing, if you're looking for a good guitar to practice with that's good on your budget, this guitar, the shape of it is still out there. The beautiful shape of this guitar. But now they got rid of the, what do you call these inlays? Split crown. They got rid of these. They don't do the split crown inlay. I love these split crown inlays. When I first seen this guitar in a book, I saw those split crown inlays, and at that time, there was only like 3 guitars that I could see that had the split crown. And I love the split crown compared to the other ones, like the BB King version and the Epiphone, the kind of crown that's on the Epiphone Blues Hawk and that. I love the split crown. I mean, if I was to make my signature guitar, it would have split crowns on it. I mean, I'm sorry, I love split crown. That's the main feature about this guitar as far as looking at it that I love is the split crown. And everybody who's ever picked this guitar up and experimented with it said the same thing. The split crown is like, it's just a beautiful guitar all the way around. And if you're out looking for a guitar, working on your budget, whether you're a student or whether you're a player that just wants to play good guitar, I say go for the Schecter Tempest Custom Series before you get into the Hellraiser and all that stuff. Hellraiser is going to cost you some money. But this guitar here, you don't want all that satanic stuff on the guitar. Especially today, Schecter, their new guitars that they have out today has all this satanic ritual stuff on it. I'm not into that. I like my guitar to look plain and simple. And the new one of this particular guitar that came out, they used to have the Tempest and they used to have the Tempest Custom. Now they just have the Custom, I think now. Okay? And it doesn't have the split crown inlays. It has the regular mother of pearl inlays on it. But it's still a beautiful guitar. And I do think that the bridge configuration, they were getting a lot of scrutiny about that, so they changed that. I experimented with the new version of this up at Guitar Center a couple years ago. But this is still a good guitar. And I think you can still, I don't think it's out of print. I still think you can get these brand new online. You can get these brand new on Amazon, eBay, and if you type in Schecter Tempest Custom, I think both of them will show up. The new version of it, as well as the one with the split crown and the black pickups and all that. So I was bored and I looked at a bunch of guitars on YouTube today, and then I flipped over in the bed and I looked at this guitar and I said, you know what? This guitar still looks the best. I love the way this guitar looks. And I watched a guy yesterday, because I'm not as good a player as I'd like to be. I mean, I'm 52 years old and I've had a collection of guitars all this time. I should be playing a lot better than what I'm playing. But I watched a young man play everything from soft funk music, and it's a brand new video, soft funk music, all the way to heavy metal on this guitar just yesterday, just last night. And he blessed me so much because he's playing this exact model and color and make, you name it. And it just blessed me. So thank you for watching. I'm D. Roy Cruz, your Life Applications Officer. Please give me your feedback. If you have a Schecter, experiment with a Schecter. Don't like Schecters, or don't particularly like this one. I know a lot of heavy metal mavens don't like this particular Schecter. Okay? But a lot of people that play softer styles do. But yet it's been tested to be able to play heavy metal as good as any other guitar. So, but I really love it. And I want to know your feedback on it. If you want to just tell me that this guitar is a piece of trash, fine. I want to hear your feedback on it. Educate me. And I will talk to you later. Thank you for watching.